Yeah, so I work at Yang HQ. We have a brand new office here in Vegas. It's the location is 4276 Spring Mountain Road, Suite 203. We just had a great canvas launch there earlier this morning. I see a couple of faces over there. But if you haven't been down to the new HQ, office just opened 1 month ago. A lot of people don't even know it exists, so please come down anytime. We do group phone banks every Monday and Tuesday from 4 to 8 p.m. So, and we have food and we have fun, and we lease out this like boardroom area. It's amazing. Phone banking is one of the top 2 ways you can help Andrew Yang the most. I know a lot of people here are undecided. That's fine too. If you're undecided, then I'm happy you're here. You're gonna get to hear from the man himself. Here he is. I see him right now, Andrew Yang.
Hello, Las Vegas. It's tremendous to be here. How are you? I heard most of you have never seen me before, and a lot of you are undecided, curious, just checking it out. So raise your hand if you're just curious, checking it out, here because you're interested. Fantastic. The rest of you, you're already sold. I'm Andrew Yang. I'm running for president as a Democrat in 2020. And it's a thrill to be here in Nevada because you all have the future of the country in your hands. Now, I am not someone who ever thought I was going to run for president. My parents met as immigrant graduate students at UC Berkeley. My father's a physicist who generated 69 US patents over his career for GE and IBM. My mom had a master's in math, still has it. So I was a very, very nerdy kid. When I was growing up, I thought everyone's dad had a PhD. And I learned the hard way they did not when I said, "What's your dad's PhD?" And then someone like beat me up, and I was like, oh, sorry, I didn't know. So I grew up nerdy kid in upstate New York, went to high school in New Hampshire, went to college in New England, at Brown University, studied economics, political science, all pretty normal immigrant-y stuff, right? It's like to do well in school, try and get a good job. Became an unhappy lawyer for 5 months, thought it was not a great job, and so I left to start a business. How many of you have started a business or club or organization or mailing list? So if you have your hand up, you know 2 things. 1, it's much harder than anyone tells you. And number 2, when someone asks you how it's going, what do you say?
Great.
It's great. Actually, only one answer to that question. It's great. So my business went great until it failed. My parents told people I was still a lawyer because it was a bit easier. But I'd been bitten by the bug. I thought building a business was the most genuine thing I tried to do up to that point in my life. I was in my 20s. So I worked at a series of smaller growth companies for the next 10 years and eventually became the CEO of an education company that grew to become #1 in the US. And then was bought by a bigger company in 2009. Now 2009 was a very, very tough time in most of the country. How many of you were here in Las Vegas in 2009? It was a very, very tough time here, am I right? What was happening, the financial crisis was in full bloom, people were losing their homes, property values were heading to the gutter, and I thought I had some insight as to why the economy had tanked. The economy had tanked in large part because the wannabe whiz kids I'd gone to high school and college and law school with had gone to Wall Street and created these exotic financial instruments and derivatives and mortgage-backed securities that crashed the economy. So I thought, that's a disaster, that's a train wreck. Let's stop doing that and start doing something more productive. So what I thought of as the most productive thing that you could ask someone to do would be to go start a business in a place like Las Vegas or Detroit or Cleveland or St. Louis or Birmingham. And that's a very tall order, but I thought I could help. So I quit my job, I donated some money to start a new organization called Venture for America that helped train entrepreneurs in cities around the country. And I started calling rich friends of mine with this question: do you love America? The smart among them said, what does it mean if I say yes?
10,000.
And then I said, at least $10,000. And then 12 of them said, I love America for 10,000. It's like, I thought you did. So their money, my money, had a couple $100,000 to get started. The organization grew and grew, and eventually we helped create several thousand jobs around the country. I was honored twice by the Obama administration, got to bring my wife to meet the president. So my in-laws were very excited about me because of the photos. I'm like, oh, she did all right. But unfortunately, while I was getting clapped on the back for my work, I felt like I was pouring water into a bathtub that had a giant hole ripped in the bottom. For any job we were helping to create, we were losing tens or hundreds of jobs. And this is particularly important for people here in Nevada because you all are #1 in the country in terms of the proportion of jobs that will be lost to technology and automation. Donald Trump won in 2016, and this to me was a giant red flag. If you turned on cable news right now, or actually any time since 2016, why would you think that Donald Trump is our president today? Russia,
Hillary,
Hillary,
Nails,
jobs, Facebook, the FBI,
Cambridge
email,
Analytica.
yeah.
racism, all smashed together into some kind of cocktail. But I'm a numbers guy, and when he won, I thought, oh my gosh, full stop. We're at a point where tens of millions of us thought that taking a bet on the narcissist reality TV star was the right move. And even if you did not vote for Donald Trump, you, just like I do, have family members and friends and neighbors who are very, very excited about his winning. So to me, this was a giant stop sign. I said, let's figure out what the heck just happened to us. And there was a very clear explanation of the numbers that, again, very, very directly relevant for everyone in this state. That the reason why Donald Trump's our president today is that we automated away 4 million manufacturing jobs over the last number of years. And most of those jobs were in Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Missouri, Iowa, all the swing states that Donald Trump needed to win and did win. And if you doubt this, there's a straight line up between the adoption of industrial automation in a voting area and the movement to Donald Trump. I spent 7 years working in the Midwest and the South. How many of you are actually from the Midwest? South? Oh. Most of you are probably from the West Coast, I'm guessing, West Coast, which includes Nevada. We'll say. You guys seem like the West Coast to me. Where traveling the Midwest and the South, I saw the aftermath of when a plant closes. And when the plant closes and the jobs disappear, blue goes to red awfully quickly. And that's not just a projection, that actually happens right there in the numbers. Unfortunately, what happened to those manufacturing jobs is now happening to retail jobs, call center jobs, transportation jobs, fast food jobs, and on through the economy. How many of you have noticed stores closing where you live here in Nevada? And why are those stores closing? Amazon, right. One word answer. $20 billion in business getting sucked up by Amazon every single year. How much did Amazon pay in taxes last year? Zero. That is your math, Nevada. 20 billion out, zero back. Most common job in most of the country is a retail clerk. The average retail clerk is a 39-year-old woman making between $9 and $10 an hour. What is she going to do when her mall or store closes? Cry. No. Probably. When you all call a big company and you get the bot or software picking up the line, you probably do the same thing I do, which is you go 000, human, until you get someone on the phone, right?
Yeah.
Wait, raise your hand if that's what you do. Oh, we all do it.
Yeah.
Because that software is miserable. But 2 or 3 years from now, the software is going to sound like this. Hey, Andrew, how's it going? What can I do for you? It'll be fast, efficient, delightful. You might not even realize it's software. What is that going to mean for the 2.5 million Americans who work at call centers right now making $14 an hour? And there are thousands of them right here in Nevada. Cry again. A lot of tears in your eyes. How many of you have seen a self-serve kiosk at a fast food restaurant? McDonald's will have them in every location by 2021. Food service and food preparation, third most common job in the United States. How many of you all know a truck driver? Driving a truck, most common job in 29 states. And my friends in California are working on trucks that can drive themselves. $168 billion in cost savings if you can get self-driving trucks on the highways. What is that going to mean for the 3.5 million truckers or the 7 million Americans who work at truck stops, motels, and diners that need the truckers to get out and have a meal? If you think about it, the highway system and the trucks it's like a circulatory system, and the trucks are like blood vessels. And then the towns in the middle of the country are like the rest stops for the blood cells to stop and drop off stuff and sleep, do things like that. But what happens when the trucks never stop, the blood cells just keep on going? Those towns are going to dry up. We're in the midst of the greatest economic transformation in the history of our country, what experts are calling the fourth industrial revolution. When is the last time you all heard the words fourth industrial revolution from a politician? Probably just now, right? And I'm barely a politician. So these were all the facts and figures that I was unpacking in 2017 after Trump won. I was like, what the heck just happened? And then being the very studious sort, I was like, oh, let me investigate. So I wrote a book on my findings. I went to the folks in Washington, D.C., and I said, what are we going to do about the fact that America is scapegoating immigrants for problems immigrants have very little to do with? If you go to a factory in Michigan, it's not wall-to-wall immigrants, it's wall-to-wall robot arms. Same thing at the Amazon Fulfillment Center, wall-to-wall little robots shuffling around. What are we going to do to help America manage this transition? And what do you think the folks in D.C. said to me when I said, what are we going to do?
We cannot talk about it.
We're going to, let me see if I can remember this.
Yes.
One, we cannot talk about this. I actually got that verbatim.
Yes.
Number two, we should study that.
Yes.
Number three, we must educate and retrain Americans for the jobs of the future. And that one sounds pretty responsible, right? Like, oh, who could be against that? But then I said, look, I took a look at the studies on how effective the government retraining programs were for the manufacturing workers who lost their jobs in the Midwest. Y'all want to guess how effective they were on a percentage basis? 8. 0 to 15. That's right, 8 was not far off. They're a total fail. And when I said that to the folks in DC, you know what they said next? I guess we'll get better. That's what passes for a solution out of Washington today. And one person in DC said something that brought me here to you all today. He said, Andrew, you're in the wrong town. No one here will do anything about this set of problems because Washington, D.C. is not a town of leaders, it is a town of followers. And the only way that we will do anything about it is if you were to create a wave in other parts of the country and bring that wave crashing down on our heads. And I heard this and I said, challenge accepted. I'll be back in a little while. And that's what brought me here to you all today. I just thank goodness I had someone with me at that meeting, because you think I was making that shit up, right? Oh no, it was real. It sounded like some movie supervillain speech. It was like a DC lobbyist speech, it turns out. But he was right. We have to create that wave and bring it crashing down on their heads, and you all are the most important people in the country for this because you are ground zero. What are the main employers here in Nevada?
Casinos.
Gaming, retail,
Hospitality.